Yo guys, what is going on? Blossoms back. Welcome back to another episode of Top Drives and another episode of Overrated or Overpowered, the series where we take a deeper dive into the new cars from the most recent update to see if they are, like the title says, overrated or overpowered. Now, before we get into today's video, as always, guys, we're going to take a deeper look, but also I want to show you guys a recap of what we saw in the first part. So this is part 2 of taking a look at the cars from APR part 2, but in part 1 from looking at the cars of APR part 2, it's a little bit of a tongue twister, I guess, we took a look at these 9 cars in the previous episode, and you guys love the series, and I really appreciate that. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the series as well. But over here, as you can see in the first part, we looked at the Nissan Source Jr. all the way down to the GT-R. And if you don't know, the cars that I underlined with this little green glow are the cars that I thought were, you know, above average in my opinion. I know in the actual video, I think I said the Ultima was just average, but in my personal opinion, because it is a collab cash cow, I do see the value in it. So basically the cars where I think that I can definitely get a lot of use out of it are the cars that I underlined in that green. And as you can see in part 1, 6 of the 9 cars turned out to talk the talk and walk the walk as well. So part 2, we're going to be looking at a different set of 9 cars, starting with the X-Trail, and we're going to go all the way down to the Nissan GTP ZX-Turbo. So without further ado, guys, let's get straight into it. The Nissan X-Trail e-Power. Now, very interesting, slightly comical reason to why I chose this car. When APR part 2 came out, and I opened the Elite packs, I got this car a lot of times. Like, I think I unpacked this like 5 times. Obviously, when you open the 5 times, you know, carbon fiber super deal, in a brand new update, every car that they will give you is from that update, right? So 25, 5 times carbon fiber means like what, 15, right? 15, whatchamacallit, 15 rares, as a minimum, of the new update. And the Nissan X-Trail is a car that dropped like 5 times for me. I got this car a bunch of times, and when I was upgrading all my rares in my garage from the new update, I realized that I had so many X-Trails, and I kind of thought to myself, what if this car is a sleeper? What if it's really good, you know? Maybe I need to keep like more than one, because currently in my garage, I only have 1 maxed out, but I have like 4 of them that are stock, and I'm just like, maybe this car's a little bit of a sleeper. Well, let's have a look. You know what? Let's talk about the Nissan X-Trail e-Power. How good is it actually? Well, we're not starting off on a great start, I guess. We're not starting off on the right foot. When I'm comparing this Nissan to front-wheel drive center tire cars that are RQ36 and below, it doesn't win anything. I also wanted to showcase the new Honda City. The Honda City Turbo 2, which is RQ37, but it's the worst performing car here. Absolutely crazy. I mean, it's also like front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, one or the other. It's center tires, and it's just one of the worst cars here. It's 37, the highest RQ, but it's got worse times to 36s and sometimes even a 35 in that Peugeot E208. But anyway, the highlight isn't the Honda City Turbo, it's the Nissan X-Trail. I think the main competitor for the Nissan X-Trail is going to be the Hyundai Kona Electric, because both of these cars are SUVs, they're center tires, and they're also from APR. I know one is part 1 and part 2, but you know, in the APR trials, that might not matter. You might just need APR. And obviously, you know, if you took away the Hyundai, let's say it's a Japanese event and you had to use a 36, then I think most people will go for the Mazda 3 anyway, because the Mazda 3 is the best car here, as you can see. So not a good start for a good old Nissan X-Trail e-Power. Well, APR center tires, 36 RQ and below. Again, the only thing that it wins is twisty road. The thing that stands out about this car is that it's decent on a twisty road, but everything else it doesn't seem to be that good at. It loses to the Honda HR-V, which is 2 RQ cheaper on the super twisty stuff, because the Honda HR-V is 4-wheel drive. Also, it loses to the Hyundai Kona, and they're both SUVs, as I said earlier, and also loses the Honda E. So yeah, not the greatest start for our good friend, the Nissan X-Trail e-Power T33. Now SUV standard tires. So this is another niche that we can have a look at. This is an SUV. So SUV standard tires that are RQ36 and below. Again, it doesn't win anything. It's better on a twisty road. But it still loses to the Audi Q540 e-tron. I know that's rear-wheel drive, so I guess the Nissan X-Trail would be the best on twisty road if it was front-wheel drive, standard tires, SUV. I mean, it's just so niche. It's just so niche. You need so many things to kind of go in its favor for this car to be, you know, the best at something, or the second best at something. I think its main strengths, as you can see here, is when it comes to twisty road front wheel drive cars that are RQ36 and below, it's like the second best. It only loses to the Mazda 3, but at least it beats all the other 36s that are front wheel drive, that are standard tires on this one track set. I mean, You need so many things for it to go its way, and it's like the second best. It's not even the best. So yeah, it's not very good. So I can definitely answer my personal question. I've got like 4 of these stock in my garage. I'm gonna fuse all of them away. It's not worth maxing more than one of these. I don't even think it's worth maxing one of these, honestly. But you know, if you want to have all kind of grounds covered for that APR trials, then you could probably max one. I can see it being useful in like the APR trial challenges for like maybe 2 levels at most. But yeah, that's all, man. It's not a car worth looking at that much. Okay, moving on. Nissan Mid 4. Now, I really want this car to live up to its name. I want it to be mid. Is this car going to be mid? Is it going to be slightly above average, slightly below average? Is it going to be overrated, overpowered? Well, it's time to find out. The Nissan Mid 4. Oh, man. I keep pressing 9 because I always want to make sure, especially with yesterday's debacle, that I'm recording this the correct screen. So, the first comparison for the Nissan Mid 4 is going to be low ground clearance, full drive performance tire cars that are below RQ60. In the wet tracks, the Mid 4 is best for G-force, slalom, and it beats, you know, things like the Audi TT-RS, the Peugeot Instincts, the Dodge Stealth, which is all pretty nice. The Hyundai Klicks, I gotta say, it looks pretty good as well. But the moment I bring in the Cadillac Ariya, it will beat every car here. The Cadillac, okay, not every car, but it'll beat the Mid 4 in where it currently wins on like G-force and slalom. The Ariya is also great on like car park and I believe twisty road, or is it karting, one or the other? But yeah, the Ariya is absolutely fantastic. It's significantly better where the Mid 4 is good at, so that's why I want to show its times. But Mid 4, you know, 58 and below, it's good on a G-force wet, slalom wet. Moving on here, this one is going to be in the dry area, so same twisty tracks, but instead of being wet, this is going to be dry. Once again, I'm comparing it up against low ground clearance 4-drop performance tire cars that are below RQ60. Again, you know, it's not too bad. The 233 and the 323 version, they are the best cars to use for car park, dry, G-force rolling, indoor karting circuit, slalom rolling, which is all pretty nice. But once again, if you bring in the RQ59s, the Cadillac Ariyas, the Audi TT Quattros, those cars are going to be significantly better. That being said, the Audi, not the Audi, but the Nissan Mid 4 being a 58 is able to beat some 59s on the dry, which is relatively, you know, impressive. It beats like the Porsche 911 Carrera 4, which I do think should go down in RQ. This car is a little bit overrated. The Hyundai Klicks, the Lancia Hyena, it's able to beat those cars, which is nice. But because it doesn't have traction control, it's better to use the Mid 4 on a dry scenario as opposed to a wet scenario. So I feel like there might be even more value of going for a 233. But then again, as you can see, 323 wins car park, slalom rolling. So, you know, you maybe it's good to get both. Get one 323 and one 233, right? Now, different set of cars I'm comparing this to. Instead of the low ground clearance 4-wheel drive cars, we're going to compare it to 4-wheel drive performance tire cars that are from 1990 or before. And it's a little bit of a front runner here in the dry track sense. In the wet, it's a different scenario. In the wet, the Nissan Skyline GTR R32 is going to be the best option to use overall. But the Nissan Mid 4 being RQ58 stands out here, beating cars like the RS200, but you would expect it to beat the RS200 after all. It's RQ54. Beats out the Familia, but the Familia has medium ground clearance, along to Delta, but that's also medium ground clearance. We've seen it beat the Porsche a couple times, beats the GTR in some places, beats a 205, but the 205 is also medium ground clearance. But, you know, you got to know where you want to use this car. Mid 4, slalom test, karting circuit, indoor karting, G-force, just the more super twisty stuff. In the dry, within its own niche, might be a pretty decent car for you to use. And then here we're going to compare it to APR 4-wheel drive performance or center tire cars, and it really only shines on, you know, the hybrid stuff. Hairpin Road, Laguna Seca, City Sprint, you know, it's able to beat like the RQ62 Suzuki EVX, which is, you know, quite impressive. It also beats the other standard tire cars from the update, like the Nissan Rogue or not the Pathfinder. The Pathfinder's an all-surface tire car. Why is that even here? Ultima and the Grandeur and all that kind of stuff as well. The Infiniti QX55, which we will see later on in today's video, is significantly better though, but it should be. It's RQ64 as opposed to Nissan's RQ58. There's a 6 RQ difference between those two cars. Overall though, the Mid 4, I say a little bit of a disappointment. I don't think the Mid 4 is mid. I think it's actually slightly under mid. It's not the worst thing in the world for sure. I don't think it's a bad car, but I also don't think that it deserves to be mid. I think it's slightly under mid. You know, for things to go its way, it needs to be a pre-90s, it needs to be four-wheel drive, it needs to be low, it needs to be performance tires only, and it needs to be on super twisty track sets. It's also decent on like APR wet hybrid track sets. Again, like the first car that we saw today, a lot of things have to go in its favor for this car to shine. The only difference between this and the Nissan T33 that we saw as the first car in today's video is that the T33, everything had to go its way for it to be second best on a twisty road and on one track set. For the Mid 4, it's a little bit better. Everything needs to go in its way, but then it's at least better on more track sets, and instead of being second place, it actually is first within its RQ. So, you know, it's a little better, but I still think it's slightly under average, unfortunately. I wish this car was genuinely just mid. I really wish it was just mid. Alright, moving on. Here is a good one. The Nissan Datsun Sunny. Excellent coupe. Excellent is in the name for sure. The main competitor for this car is going to be the Nissan Cherry Coupe X1, and that's why we're giving it a main event comparison, a 1v1 on a multitude of track sets. And as you can see, this is like Inter Milan versus Barcelona. This is like 3-3 territory. This is the definition of trading blows. Look at this. It's just all over the place. Good luck memorizing this. If I told you right now, oh, what does the 233 Datsun Sunny Excellent wins? Can you remember by heart that it will win on the Forest Road, tie on the City Sprint with the 323 counterpart, tie on the Monaco G-Force with the Cherry, be the best on the Monaco hairpin, Monaco streets long, Tokyo off-ramp, but also at the same time, a 323 Cherry Coupe X1 is the best for a regular standing car park and a rolling slalom. There is too much to memorize here. Here's an easy way to put it. Just get 4 of these cars, okay? Get a 233 and a 323 of the Datsun Sunny Excellent, and get a 323 and a 233 of the Cherry Coupe X1, okay? And then we can work out what wins what later on. But man, look at that. That is what I like to see. That is equal right there, in my opinion. So now we know that that car trades blows of the Cherry. That's the foundation laid out. The Datsun Sunny Excellent is an excellent car. It's a great car. If it's able to trade blows with the Nissan Cherry, which is already a great super rare, the Sunny Excellent is going to be a good car for sure. And as you can see, pre-1980s super rares, the Datsun Sunny is ridiculous. I mean, that and the Nissan Cherry, it's like Bonnie and Clyde right now. They're blowing out everything from the water. Alpha 33, shot. Alpha Iguana, shot. Alpha Tipo, shot. Lancia Pininfarina, shot. The Jaguar XJS, at least, you know, still can shine a little bit. It's the best car for car park, slalom rolling. That's about it, though. Those two cars, fantastic. Super Rare Japan, as you can see, these two cars are also just incredibly dominant. I think the only cars that can take away in the track sets that are super rare in Japanese that are not the Cherry and the Datsun would be the Q60 Sport, which is still the best car for hairpin, the Taiki, which is the best car for karting, as well as twisty road. And then maybe the Mazda RX-01, which is the best for slalom rolling. But everything else is covered out by these two cars already. So fantastic stuff. And I would say that the 300ZX, in my opinion, was a great option for fast circuit. But as you can see now, the 323 Datsun is the better one to go for. Very close though, 108.35 to 108.90. But yeah, anyway, the winner here is the Datsun Sunny Excellent Coupe. Now moving on to the other more hybrid dry track sets, again, the Datsun. This is where the Datsun really pulls away. The Cherry Coupe doesn't win doesn't win many track sets here. It's good, but it isn't the best. The Taiki is pretty good though. Taiki wins City Slalom, Monaco G-Force, Monaco Narrow, New York G-Force. But that being said, when it comes to these hybrid dry track sets, or Monaco track sets, or Tokyo track sets, it's more of a Nissan Datsun versus Mazda Taiki. Everything else is kind of just existing along in that space. Oh yes, and one more thing, just to showcase the Datsun. We're gonna fight for the best super per track at this point. So this is a general sense. When it comes to Forest Road, a 233 Datsun Excellent is the 5th best car overall. You can say it's the 3rd best car overall because it's only behind the Vauxhall and the Hyundai, but obviously they have different tunes. And then obviously when it comes to City Sprint, the Datsun is the best. It's the best super rare to use. They're the best. And then when it comes to Twisty Circuit, again, the Datsun Sunny is the 5th best option, behind variations of the Vauxhall and variations of the Hyundai. Actually, it's a 6th best option. My bad, can't count. And then Monaco hairpin, it is first, tied first with the Pontiac Solstice GXP. So this is a great super rare in my opinion. So yeah, overall I think that this car is probably just shy of Blossom Choice, and the main reason why I think it's just shy of Blossom Choice is because the track sets that it's the best in are not the most common track sets in top drives. In my opinion, I will value a car that is the best at slalom or twisty road more than a car that is best at dockyard circuit or city grass slalom or something obscure like that, because it does matter, right? When it comes to top drives, you're gonna see a slalom 10 times more than you're gonna see dockyard alternative circuit or Deals Gap number 4, for example. That being said though, the Nissan Datsun is still a fantastic super rare, and one that I'm very happy to say that I own a couple of already. Now, moving on, the Nissan Ariya, insert cringe electric name, is the next car that's gonna come up next. I'm not gonna say that there's too many alphabets and numbers and open parentheses, closed parentheses. We get it, you're electric, you don't need to shout it in my face, okay? So yeah, Nissan Ariya, insert cringe electric name. How does it fare against Japanese standard tire cars? Well, not bad, actually. You know, for a 72 RQ car, it's like one of the second best options, and it's the best car to use for Laguna Seca and fast circuit. And that's mainly attributed to the Nissan Ariya's ATMRA. But the fact that it's able to beat the Mazda 3 2.5 turbo is not bad. The only issue is that, you know, being the best fast circuit four-wheel drive standard tire car isn't really much of something. It's not something to write home about. It's not something to gloat about, because, you know, fast circuit wet is not really a track set where I think, oh yeah, let me use a four-wheel drive standard. I would be using a four-wheel drive performance tire car for a fast circuit wet. Usually those cars are going to be better. So, you know, the track sets that you really want to win for a wet track set of your four-wheel drive standard tire car are the car park, your city street medium, your smalls, your G-force, and that's all locked down by the Mazda 3. But rightly so. There's a 5 RQ difference between these two cars. So I'm not going to attack the Nissan Ariya because it's not able to beat a car that's 5 RQ higher, but it would have been nice to see this car beat the Mazda in maybe 1 or 2 track sets. That would be interesting. And it does. To be fair, it does. Laguna Seca and fast circuit, it does. So that is a good showing from the Nissan Ariya in my opinion. Moving on to Japanese standards when it comes to the drags. So here's the issue, right? The Ariya has ATMRA, which is good, but it will lose to the RQ65 Infiniti M56. That is more of the dragster. If you had to use a standard tire Japanese car, instead of using the Nissan Ariya, use the Infiniti M56. And if it was just a Japanese drag and you didn't need to use a standard tire car, just use a Hayabusa or the Infiniti Black Edition or whatever it's called, the Black Series, right? That's just better overall, even though it's wet. A drag is a drag. You don't really need your four-wheel drive standard tires when it comes to a drag. And that's clearly stated over here because the best car is a rear-wheel drive standard tire car. Anyway, moving on to SUV standards, because the Nissan Ariya is considered an SUV. Again, it's just very accurate to its RQ. It's RQ72, and it's one of the best cars if you filter away the SUV standards that are higher than it in RQ, right? The cars that are just better, as you would expect, the Audi 75, the Cadillac Lyriq 77, the Jaguar I-Pace 78. So yes, the Ariya will lose to those 3 cars, but I expect that. That's fine. The Nissan Ariya is doing its job as a 72, beating other 72s and cars that are lower in RQ, like the 71s and the 69s. So yeah, and I gotta say, the Audi Q8, you know, pretty decent. Hairpin road karting circuit, beating the 72. City Sprint beating the 72. But yeah, the Ariya obviously is the most dominant car here, as you can see in this comparison, before I put in the 75, 77, and RQ78 cars. So overall, I would say that the Nissan Ariya is slightly above average. You know, it's a very RQ72 car. Don't expect it to be beating 78s or even 73s or 74s, but it's able to hold its own within its RQ. So I think that in order to rate this car properly, it really comes down to how valuable you rate RQ72. How valuable is a mid-range epic to you? Because this is a good mid-range epic, as far as a mid-range epic goes, if that makes sense. Now, moving on, the Nissan Juke-R 2.0 F15, that's up next. Dude, honestly, when it comes to this car, we don't need to look at a bunch of track sets. When it comes to this car, it really only comes down to like 2 track sets or 4 track sets, which are the city street mediums, the dry variation, and the wet variation. That's it, man. I don't really care. Everything else here is a bonus, right? The non-medium stuff. But at the end of the day, when it comes to these cars, the Taycan, the Juke-R, the Panamera, the Blackwing, the Lancer Evos, it really just comes down to how well they perform on a medium ground clearance track set. And hey, not bad. You know, again, like the Ariya, it's what you would expect. I don't expect it to be beating the Porsche Taycan. The Taycan is 2 RQ higher. The 86, you know, the Nissan Juke-R is 86. It's cheaper to use. But I would expect the Nissan to beat the Panamera and the Blackwing and the Lancer. And guess what? On the city street mediums, it does. So it's a good car. It's the second best car that you can use. That is medium ground clearance. Now, again, all these cars you see are medium ground clearance. I did put a side note that the Nissan Juke-R does beat the Lamborghini Lanzador on city street medium dry and wet, but it will lose to the Lamborghini Lanzador on city street small and city street small wet. Fair enough. The Lanzador is not in here. I forgot to put it in the comparison in the screenshot because the Lanzador is classified as high ground clearance as opposed to medium ground clearance. But yeah, I did put it in a side note that it will beat the Lanzador on medium, but it will lose the Lanzador on small. Hey, and let's look at the bonus stuff, for example, okay? G-Force indoor karting, the Juke actually is able to beat the Taycan, which I think is actually quite impressive. The Taycan is a Blossom choice car. It is fantastic. And the fact that the Juke-R is actually able to beat it on some track sets is very impressive and very respectable. It would be more impressive if the Juke-R was beating the Taycan on like the city street mediums. That would definitely taint the Taycan's legacy. But it doesn't. So yeah, but overall the Juke-R is still a great car. That was the only thing I needed to test it on. Honestly, there was nothing else. I didn't need to test this on the drag or anything else. It was just city street medium. How good was it going to be? And honestly, it's a great car. Fantastic. It's like the second best option for you to use. Third best option when it comes to city street small, because the Lanzador exists for the non-prize cars, right? But yeah, it's just great. I would love to unpack it. It is very, very useful. It is a beast. Not Blossom choice, but definitely a fantastic car. Moving on. Oh, and one thing to mention, because I know some people's going to point it out. It's a fantastic Japanese medium ground clearance car. Absolutely fantastic Japanese medium ground clearance car. I give it a lot of stick because it doesn't beat a Taycan. Taycan's German. If you're in a situation where you need to, and the Lanzador is Italian, if you're in a situation where you need to use a medium ground clearance car and you can only use Japanese cars, the Juke-R is going to save your life. It is going to save your life. So it's a fantastic car. All right, moving on. Look at this. Blossom actually talking about a common. I know. When was the last time I talked about a common in this series? But this is a good common. It looks like it has a lot of potential, and I want to highlight the Nissan Skyline two-door GTS25 R32. Yeah, it's good. It's good. When it comes to common APR performance tire cars, it really comes down to 2 cars that kind of dominate the scene, right? It's the Skyline two-door Sport as well as the Mitsuoka Himiko. I've never covered the Himiko in part 1 because I honestly didn't like part 1. It was just Hondas and Mitsuokas. Like, who the hell cares? But yeah, the Himiko is great. But the Skyline is also very fantastic. You just gotta know where to use it on. Himiko is for the less twisty stuff, and the Skyline two-door Sport Coupe is gonna be for the more twisty track sets, your car park, your G-force, your slalom, etc., etc. Now, common general, okay? This is very impressive because Honda Beat, move aside. The Honda Beat is still good on slalom and indoor karting, which is great. But the Skyline is now the best for car park and G-force. You know, track sets where the Honda Beat used to be great on, right? It also beats the Cappuccino. Cappuccino, honestly, move aside as well. Yeah, so the Skyline, you gotta know where to use it. G-force rolling, G-force test, car park, really good. But dude, shout out to that Mitsuoka Himiko, because that Himiko is fantastic. Best car for a hairpin, karting circuit, twisty circuits, twisty road, very good stuff. When it comes to Nissan Commons, it's pure dominance, okay? So if you ever find yourself in an event where you need to use a common Nissan car, the RQ19 Skyline two-door, as you know, as reflected in its RQ, is the best car to use. Though fast circuit still goes to the Nissan 240Z. So overall, Blossom choice. I'm going to say it. It's going to be a Blossom choice common. Up there with the Honda Beat, up there with the Mitsuoka Himiko. Some of the best twisty performance tire cars that you can use in the common rarity, in my opinion. Great car. Now, moving on. Infiniti QX55, the highest RQ Ultra that you can pull from APR Part 2. Is it any good though? 4-wheel drive standard, AT4 handling, it looks promising. But I'm going to tell you right now, man, it ain't that great. Okay, so Ultra 4-wheel drive standard, as you can see, it doesn't win anything. I even took away its competition, the Skodas and the BMWs. Those cars are great. But hey, the Infiniti QX55 has no excuse. It has the same RQ as those Skodas and the 420 BMW, right? So again, even when you take away the Skoda, even when you take away the BMW, the Infiniti QX55 doesn't win anything. It loses to the Chrysler 300 Glacier Edition. It loses to the Mazda CX-50s. And that's especially bad because the Mazdas are also Japanese. The RQ61323 GT Turbo is the best car for slalom as well. So that's really an issue for the Infiniti because, you know, it's not going to be a great standard tire car in a general sense, but it's not going to be great in a Japanese sense either because people are going to be using the Mazdas anyway. Now, moving on to Japanese Ultra Standard, again, it doesn't win anything. It's really bad. Even the Subaru Levorg, which is 2 RQ cheaper, is able to get a first place. Right, on car park. The RQ59 BRZ is the best on hairpin. The RQ61 Mazda 323 is the best on slalom. But the Infiniti QX55 is not winning anything. It's not. And it's losing to the Suzuki Kizashi. The Suzuki Kizashi doesn't win anything either. But at least the Kizashi still beats the QX55 on G-Force, on slalom, and on karting circuit as well, which is absolutely crazy. Like, the Infiniti QX55 is overrated, in my opinion. It really is. APR standards, four-wheel drive, four-wheel drive. Okay, that's a little bit different. It's very dominant when it comes to APR standards. But look at the competition that it's going up against, man. I mean, that's like, you know, if Neymar was in a football team, if Neymar was in Manchester United's under 17 team, you know what I mean? Like, obviously you're gonna be the best player there, and he's probably still gonna get be rolling around if he gets fouled because there's Neymar. But yeah, overall, man, this car is overrated. It's not a 64. I mean, the times doesn't lie, man. This thing is completely overrated. I think there should be a 63 or maybe even a 62. Maybe 62 is a bit too harsh, but it definitely shouldn't be a 64. Should be a 63. Yeah, just an overrated car. It doesn't deserve that RQ64 tag in my opinion. Moving on, the Nissan Versa Superior or whatever SR stands for, sport race maybe. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Uncommon, standard tire, medium, and high ground clearance cars. It's alright if you take away the Hyundai Ioniq 9 long range, which is an incredibly dominant uncommon car for the wet. The Nissan Versa SR is okay. You just gotta know where to use it. Karting circuit wet, G-force wet, it's a great car, right? It's among there with some of the best. It trades blows with the Honda CRX and the Hyundai Kona. The Suzuki Alto Hustle, by the way, on slalom. That's pretty insane as well to see it up in those ranks. Suzuki Brat in the car park. You know, those two cars don't handle well, but they're incredibly light, so that's why they're probably up there. Japanese standard tires is up next, and the Nissan Versa is the best for hairpin and karting circuit. So that's pretty nice when it comes to just Japanese standard tire uncommons. Once again, it's trading blows with the Honda CRX Adele Soul C, as well as a Nissan X-Trail T33. You know, we talked about the T33 at the start of the video, but that was the rare. It looks like the uncommon one seems to be a little bit more promising. At least it's the best at Twisty Road. It's funny because the rare version was, you know, strong on a twisty road within its own RQ as well, RQ36, and the uncommon one is also good on the same track set, so that's pretty nice. RX-7 being best on G-force, Suzuki Kara best on car park as well as slalom, but that's no surprise. Nissan uncommon standard tires, the Nissan Versa is dominant, best on car park, G-force, hairpin road, karting circuit, slalom, you name it, it's pretty good. Nissan Sentra SR B18 though, pretty damn good as well. City street medium, car park, twisty circuit, fast circuit, Laguna Seca. Then you got the X-Trail T33 coming back at you with the twisty road and the small city street small. So these three cars you definitely want to get if you want to get that Nissan standard tire uncommon niche on lock, right? Now, some other things that I want to leave you off with. The Nissan Versa overall is the 4th best car to use for the hairpin road wet, which is pretty impressive, only behind the Hyundai Kona and the Renault Wind. It is the 2nd best uncommon overall. on the karting circuit when it comes to anything, because the Hyundai is rear-wheel drive, this is front-wheel drive. So yeah, it's the second best overall, so that's also pretty impressive, only behind the Hyundai Ioniq 9, and it's the fifth best overall for G-force tests, only behind the Suzuki Kera and the RX-7 and the Lancia Delta when it comes to standard tire uncommon cars. So that's pretty impressive, I would say. In my opinion, I think that this is a pretty good car. You gotta know where to use it, right? But if you put it in the right places, hairpin, karting, G-force, it's gonna be a decent car, and definitely a great standard tire Nissan if you need to use it for clubs as well. I think it's above average. It's a good car. It's not gonna be a Blossom choice. It's not gonna be close to Blossom choice, but it definitely is above average. Now, ending off today's video, I want to talk about the Nissan GTP ZX. As always, guys, as per tradition, the last car is always going to be a legendary. Okay, so the Nissan GTP ZX-Turbo is going to end us off over here. I'm going to compare it against 1980s slick tire cars. As you can see, it's the best for the fast circuit stuff. And the main thing about the GTP is that it's got really good MRA and a high top speed, which makes you think, okay, how well does it do on the drags? Well, 1980s slicks, drags, and as you can see, not bad. Not bad at all. It's the best car for the 1 mile, best car for the 0 to 150 tied, best car for the test pull, and best car for the 0 to 170. What the Nissan GTP ZX Turbo is it is a long-range dragster, and that translates outside of just 1980s and slick tires. Now, I did not give you the times of the 962, okay? The 962C is still the better car. 962C is still better. 962C is still the best. But the GTP is a close second. And when it comes to Japanese legends only, this is very impressive. When it comes to the 1 mile, when it comes to the test pull, those long-range drags, the Nissan GTP is able to beat a Mazda 787B, which is crazy, in my opinion. This is an RQ94 non-prize beating an RQ97 prize car. So yeah, very impressive stuff. It's able to beat the Mazda 787B, the R87E, the 767B, and even the R85. Actually, it beats the Nissan R85 everywhere on the drags, and the Nissan R85 is a prize car at RQ95. The GTP ZX is a non-prize car and it's cheaper to use, so those are things to consider as well. The GTP is a great car to upgrade. I have the Nissan R85V and it's slightly upgraded, and I will be scared if I see someone that unpacked the GTP and it's a drag race. I will be scared. That GTP is going to be beating the prize car that I worked really hard to get for. And, you know, the GTP is a car that you don't even need to work hard for. You can just open a pack and just get lucky and you'll get it, you know? So, it's crazy stuff. But yeah, overall, Nissan GTP, great car. Not Blossom choice, but it's definitely good. Use it for a 1 mile, a 0 to 170. This is a very rare track sit, but sometimes you will see a 0 to 200 mile per hour track sit, or, you know, a test bull as well. It is a great long-range car for the drags, especially for Japanese drags, right? So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. Those are the 9 cars that we've placed under the microscope. I think there are enough cars for me to do a part 3. I think so. Let me know down in the comments below what you would like to see in a part 3. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville.